Maybe not. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Senate Committee on Education. We welcome you here in Carson City. If anybody's in Las Vegas, I think I see a person, and whomever may be on the phone line. We'll start at the first. My name is Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the honor of chairing this committee. We will start with our roll call. Madam Secretary?
Senator Buck. Senator Cruz Crawford. Senator Doniate. Senator Dondero Loop. Senator Rogish. Senator Titus. Senator Taylor.
And I am present. Senator Titus is running just a little behind, and please mark her present when she arrives. Before we get started, we're just going to do our usual, a little bit of housekeeping, just to remind everyone. Let's see. If you would like to make public comment, then please make sure that you've signed in, or if you'd like to testify. If you're planning to testify, make sure you sign in, and then if you have a business card, please give that to our committee secretaries, and we appreciate that. If you are testifying or if you're making public comment, please make your way to the mic and say your name clearly, and then please spell your last name, and we'll ask you to repeat your name every time you speak, just so that we make sure we get the record correct, because we want to make sure that we're accurate in our records. I'm going to give the information for... If you want to call in, we will do public comment at one point at the very end of the meeting. You can do public comment three ways, either here in person or in Las Vegas. You can join us, or on the phone line. If you plan to call in for public comment, that number is 888-475-4499, and the meeting ID is 856-7414-5362. And I'll give that number again when it's time for public comment. A little bit more of housekeeping. If you do have a handout for the committee, then that should have been to our committee secretary 24 hours in advance. And you need to bring at least 10 copies here, because what we have, members of the public should have as well. And then also for us as committee members, we are a policy committee, so you will see that there may be some financial items that come up, but we are not going to deal with the financial pieces, because we deal with the policy pieces, and we let the financial group team take care of that. Right, Vice Chair?
You got it.
Yes, right. That's right. And then finally, you will notice that committee members are using our laptops. Please do not take that as a sign of inattention or disrespect. We have things on our laptop that we refer to as we're going through the meeting. So just know we are with you, and we are paying attention. Okay, I think that is everything. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to consider a bill draft request, a BDR. And so I'll introduce the bill. Now, as a reminder to the committee, a yes vote to introduce the BDR only allows the BDR to become a bill or a resolution and to be transferred to our committee for hearings. It does not indicate that you support the BDR in one way, shape, or form. So a vote to introduce the BDR is just to assign the BDR a bill number and then get the bill printed, and then we can go from there. So committee, today we have BDR number 34530 that we will consider, and we're looking for, I will entertain a motion to introduce this BDR.
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. We have a motion from Vice Chair Dondero Loop and a second from Senator Cruz Crawford. Any discussion?
Yes, could we have a description?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, I forgot to read that.
Thank you.
All right. This is going to be very helpful. Provide certain surveys of school staff. That changed it, didn't it? It got you right there. Oh, yeah.
Even though I know that if I vote this out of committee, it doesn't necessarily mean I support it, I'd like to know what the general title of the bill was. So
Yep.
thank you very much. And I certainly support that.
Okay.
Passing out of committee.
We'll
Thank you.
take that as a yay. Any more discussion? Thank you, Senator Titus. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, the motion is carried, so we have introduced that bill. On our agenda today, we only have one item. We are going to hear a bill hearing, going to have a bill hearing. The hearing is going to be on Senate Bill 115. Senate Bill 115, so if you are here to present the bill, please make your way to the testimony table. We're doing that? Oh, we have a presentation. You have a presentation. Sorry, Portrait of Learner first. You're ready. I'm just moving. Let's go. It's a long day already. No, I apologize. Portrait of a Learner, please come forward. Janine Collins, who is the co-CEO for the Center for the Future of Learning. And we do want to, we're looking forward to your presentation on the portrait of a Nevada learner and the role of Nevada Future of Learning Network. Thank you for that reminder. The- the- Thank you, Doctor. Okay. State your name for the record and begin when you're ready.
Janine Collins, Collins. Good afternoon. Janine Collins, co-founder at the Center for the Future of Learning, a Nevada-based nonprofit focused on building the future of learning with young people, educators, and community inside our schools and in out-of-school learning spaces. I'm a lifelong Nevadan, a proud graduate of the Clark County School District, attended both UNR and UNLV as a Millennium Scholar, and was an educator in CCSD for 13 years. I've taught in the College of Fine Arts at UNLV, run a small business consultancy, and am very busy as the proud parent of 2 school-aged children. So it is with these lived experiences I am here today to share this Nevada work that my team and many across our state have helped shape over the past 2 years in partnership with the Nevada Department of Education. Why does learning need to evolve? We live in an interconnected world. Technology has reshaped our access to knowledge and is transforming the world of work. If education is, as many of us believe, an important opportunity to support young people in charting the lives they imagine for themselves, they need learning relationships, experiences, and environments that meet them in the world they live and prepare them for the future they hope. There are other challenges in Nevada education, and not necessarily unique to our state: emptier classrooms with chronic absenteeism, a diminishing teacher pipeline, with less educators entering the profession, and clear feedback from workforce that those entering do not generally possess the durable skills at scale that people would like to see, like communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, needed to build good teams and navigate ever-changing work. Our education infrastructure was built for a vision of learning in a world that was true over 100 years ago, designed for an industrial model where time was the constant and learning was the variable. One couldn't access knowledge easily without going to school. Fast forward, the pandemic challenged our paradigm about the why, how, what, where, when, and even the where of learning. While many have discussed how to get back to where we were, many are also recognizing we want to build better forward. Challenges are opportunities. What if we redesigned our system to meet the reality of the moment? If acquiring knowledge can now happen in a variety of ways, what is the role of school? And how might it answer the call from young people to be places of purpose, to learn academic concepts, and to apply that knowledge in real ways that matter, to empower growth, build connections, meaningfully contribute skills, and figure out how to thrive? How might our system of assessment, accountability, and innumerable other policies and practices evolve to put learners and their strengths and curiosities at the center of school experiences, much like we think about putting customer needs and wants at the center of business strategy? Firm on the goals of academics and more flexible on the how to promote the skills we all need to navigate life. To undertake this possibility, the department brought partners together, including our team, together in the spirit of co-design with our community and said, let's develop a community vision that helps us all look forward together in the same direction with a fresh gaze. So let's talk about what we did. In order to build that shared vision of the future of learning, we knew that we needed to co-design with young people, the people who experience school. And so this process of developing a shared vision of learning, a portrait of a Nevada learner, began with engaging young people in reflecting on their experiences, talking to their communities, and determining what it was that they felt was important about the future of their schooling system. Through surveys, through deeper fellowships, you can see that we've been able to engage over 400 young people in that process. Often those furthest from the closest to the challenges, often those closest to the challenges are not always empowered to help shape solutions. And so in addition to co-designing with young people, this process intentionally co-designed with educators, the people who are going to always be at the implementation center where the rubber hits the road, right? And so as we were in the process of surveying community, gathering data and feedback, we were able to have some early adopter educators and teams of people from across the state come together and take that emerging data and start to say, what are the implications for this in my school context? And because we've had educators help shape that final vision, we know a lot more about what implementation can look like, what the barriers are, what the opportunities are, and what the needs are to support the forward movement of this work. The community has also been invited into the process. When we started building this work it kicked off in October of 2022. And as we really built through what was the last legislative session, we were able to have one-on-ones with business leaders, community briefings, both virtual and in person, and connect that to the surveys and the conversations and the work that educators were doing. So imagine all of those pieces talking to each other as the work is evolving. And on the website, nvfutureoflearning.org, you can learn a little bit more about the ways community have been engaged and will continue to be engaged in developing and evolving this vision of learning for the future. This is the first page of what the community designed, called the Portrait of a Nevada Learner. This is not a conventional portrait. When you look at other portraits or profiles of learners across the country or at the district or state level, you will often see what is on the back page, which I'll show to you in just a minute. An assembly of words, phrases, ideas that are durable skills that are very important. Communication, critical thinking, things that are widely understood and felt as important by young people, families, business leaders, educators. But our community, in the process of putting our portrait together, found the concept of asking questions as really critical to keep as a part of our formal portrait. And consequently, Nevada has actually received quite a bit of national recognition for leaning in on this idea of asking authentic questions as a process for inviting new demonstrations of learning and to connect with a deeper sense of purpose in what we're doing. And so in that way, the portrait and this process is not just about technical shifts in what we do, but adaptive, moving, flexible, contextual answers that young people and educators and schools can endeavor to respond to in the work that they do on a daily basis. These are the skills, you can see them in bold, that from reflection and curiosity to collaboration and communication to critical thinking and creative problem solving, intellectual agility, being able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. These are the things that our community was able, at a state level, were able to norm up on and say really mattered. And in this process, while we were doing this as a state community, there are many districts in Nevada, such as Churchill County, Douglas County, that had already built community profiles that actually fed up and informed the state portrait. And we learned from our districts what was happening in their districts, how they were going after more learner-centered experiences, and they were also able to be at the table to help make sure that the state work was really an umbrella and an invitation into this work, and not something that ran counter to the kinds of things that they were exploring in their own communities. So a vision is great, and then what does it mean to bring it to life? And so as a result of building the portrait and engaging with educators, in partnership with the department, we launched the Nevada Future of Learning Network in October of 2023. What you're seeing here is the visual of the second year of the network, which we've just started. And inside the network, we have had policy subcommittees, we've had professional learning experiences for educators at the school level, for educators now at the district and school level in parallel, talking to each other, thinking about and starting to build examples of what it looks like to put those durable skills into action with academic knowledge so that we are able to rethink learning relationships, experiences, and environments. Another way to think of it is the portrait as like a job description. And the process is the how. And in the network, we have educators talking and learning and building. What is it going to look like to do this a little bit differently? Because if we're going to demonstrate communication and intellectual agility through math, we're going to have different kinds of learning experiences that happen and different kinds of assessments that demonstrate the ability to contribute to the world, to build and sustain relationships, to be able to reflect on your growth as a learner, and to ultimately be able to thrive. And so that work is often, if you're an educator, you know that a lot of this is like the fundamentals of best practice. And also, it's about taking those practices, putting the learner at the center, and designing the system around those things instead of having those really cool and incredible experiences be at the margins of our education system. Another component of the network is being able to bring traditional policy systems, which we're all familiar with, federal, state mandates or policies to the district, to schools and classrooms, and to be able to create a mechanism for educators at the school and community at the school and classroom level to be able to say, this is what's working, this isn't what's working. How do we take that learning and feed it back up into these more reciprocal conversations so that we have the ability to have those closest to the challenges of thinking about what it means to prepare future-ready learners, think about what it means to, as the state is moving towards a personalized competency-based learning system, which is truly just doing what I described, taking those portrait ideas, changing up the processes, and rethinking how we assess them. That's work that needs to be done in community, in conversation, and we need to be lifting up the learning along the way. And that really is what the role of the network is. You know, I think that, I think I somehow script, yeah. So what's next and what's now in this work? Currently inside the network, we have about 145 educators across the state in multiple districts working with their district teams in what's called the Competency Implementation Pilot. That back page of the portrait is what the competencies are. It's like, okay, so what does communication look like for a K-2 learner, for a 3-5 learner, for a 6-8 learner? How does that evolve, and what are we going to need to look at in concert with academic learning that we're going to be able to start to assess and really say this is happening? So we have people working on that work right now, which is incredibly exciting. We know that there's always an ongoing piece to this to continue to engage community, so the network has opportunities and new educators to the work, has creating the space for people to continue to opt in to learning about the work and to being a part of the network, so increasing the awareness and engagement through those that are involved and to the community is part of the ongoing work. And I think this work, what's really critical to highlight is that it has been built in partnership with young people, educators, community, and organizations. And so 2 key partnerships I'd love to highlight are certainly our Nevada Association of School Superintendents. We've been able to connect in meetings. They are pursuing learning as a group of superintendents around thinking about what this work looks like in each of their districts. And certainly we've been able to partner with the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education as that work has progressed, sharing the work of the portrait, the network, and also creating spaces for feedback from those in the network to the policy recommendations that the Commission has been working on. So just highlighting some of the ways in which that communication and collaboration is starting to emerge in the network. I think the last thing I'd love to say is that, you know, the work is new, and yet what I've been able to hear from educators and those in the work is that the act of coming together and learning together to challenge assumptions, to shift paradigms, to break down those barriers of isolation is joy infusing. And so when we are creating spaces for educators to learn, unlearn, and relearn in community, to take those calculated risks to meet the students where they're at. They are seeing at their classroom level, in the way that they're working, shifts in their own practice and positive data points that are showing them that they're moving in the right direction, and that this is work worth pursuing and figuring out how to do better to meet the needs of our community. And so I would just close and say that I think that what we've built over the past 2 years in tremendous partnership is a strong foundation for change. There's a lot of possibility that is emerging because the network is a space of learning and questioning, and because the portrait invites that. And amidst so many challenges, this work offers us a pathway to address the challenges that we face and potentially even leapfrog mere improvement to embrace more relevant, connected, life-ready learning opportunities for all Nevadans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. Thank you for the presentation. We'll go to the committee, see if anyone has any questions. See a question, Senator Cruz Crawford?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeannie. We've been working together for a long time. I remember when you started this work, you were asking if my school would take it on, and I was like, I'm overwhelmed right now. We're already doing too many projects. But I really like the idea. I remember when I was going to school, teachers would teach from their desk and give us worksheets. And we've done a really good job of, if you fell behind, you fell behind. That was your fault as a student. And we've done a really good job since No Child Left Behind. Not that that was great policy, but to identify all the students and meet them where they are when they do fall behind. And I was talking to a senator earlier, and they were like, well, what do we need to do in public education? And one of the things that I've noticed is that our assessments are very off from the job skills that we need today. What kind of work have you done in regard to assessing so to make sure our students are ready for the workforce?
Janine Collins for the record. Thank you for the question. That is truly the work of the competency implementation pilot right now is twofold. One, bringing educators and their at the school level and district teams together to be able to start saying, okay, what are these skills? Here are the set of learning targets that we've defined through competencies. How do they actually align with standards? How do we start to rethink the learning experience? And as a result of that, because assessment is tied to the learning experience, what are the kinds of products that we actually need to produce so that, because you don't often produce a worksheet. Right? How are you able to, in a job setting, you're going to need to solve a problem. You're going to need to work as a team. You're going to need to be able to demonstrate that possibly in a portfolio, possibly through a performance assessment. So the work is really creating the foundational shifts to lean into those experiences, and then is starting to capture what is being done. So I think to answer your question, that is the seeds of work that are being done. And then in the network, we're able to kind of capture what's working, what's not, where are there challenges to that, and what might be worth trying to scale outside of that network.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Vice Chair, you have a question?
Thank you very much, Ms. Collins, for being here. I have a question about implementation. What prevents a school district or a school from being involved? Is it time? Is it money? Is it misunderstanding? What is it that prevents our school district or schools from being involved?
Janine Collins for the record. Thank you for the question. I think that because personalized competency-based learning aligned to the portrait and activating the portrait is really about a continuum and a set of practices and mindset shifts, it doesn't look the same everywhere you do it. There's different points of entry. There's going to be things about assessment, from the vision of learning, different processes that we can replicate, assessment possibilities that can exist. But what we mostly hear in terms of challenges are, one, first of all, I think many of us know and have heard this, that educators feel very overwhelmed. What Senator Cruz Crawford just said, there's a lot going on. I don't know how I'm going to be able to take in a new idea and process and reflect this right now. I'm already working really hard to do this other thing. helping them see the alignment in how this process actually can help support some of the things that they really care about has been a piece of it. Being able to provide supports, incentives for educators, funding for their professional learning and their time and their resources to be able to produce learning or case studies like we have on the network website. Having that support from the department was critical to get people involved, and being able to sustain that learning and support is also critical. What I would say is, because the work has been opt-in, I think what we're seeing is a more natural spread, if you will, and when people are starting to see where that work aligns, they are excited to come into it. And then finally, I would say that the biggest thing that we hear is what also Senator Cruz Crawford said: the assessments and sort of the system and policies that we have aligned to this vision, they seem to be in conflict, the way that we assess our learning system right now and standardized tests. And so helping create space for a continuum of assessment that really provides the space for real-world learning to occur, I think is something we're working towards modeling.
Thank you. Follow up, Madam Chair. Maybe not the final thing, but another thing I wanted to ask you was, I'm glad you're working with the superintendents. Can you talk about the multiple pathways of engagement? I'm assuming that you're working with that with the superintendents, and so I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
Sure, Janine Collins for the record. Multiple ways to engage. So this year, the network has several different pathways involved, as you saw on that image slide. So first of all, there is the competency implementation pilot, which has been opt-in for districts and schools working as a cohort of like 145 educators across the state, thinking about what needs to stop, start, and continue at a district level and at a classroom level in conversation with each other to look at policy moves and practice moves. Two, there's been opt-in opportunities for just educators, regardless of if the district is involved, to come to the table to start to rethink student engagement opportunities through the portrait, being able to unpack their learning at their level, go after project work that is important to their community, and think about and demonstrate where that alignment might be. The Nevada Department of Education is involved as a clear pathway this year in the work, where there are working groups working on policy and policy moves, assessment and accountability conversations, looking at aligning those pieces in the work as well. And then there's just like ongoing like virtual learning, town halls, things like that happening across the state to invite people to connect, create, and share together.
Thank you very much. I just thought it was really important to highlight that, because I know there's so many pathways, and I thought it was not only interesting but important that others hear all those pathways so that they understand that there are multiple ways to get involved, and some of them may not involve as much time as others. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I do have a couple of questions myself, Ms. Collins. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the presentation. And most importantly, thank you for this work, right? Really important work. A couple of questions. You mentioned that you have 145 educators, involved in the network. How many, I know you have students, how many students are involved in the network as well?
This year, Janine Collins for the record, thank you. I would have to double check on that. We don't have a specific youth pathway right now in the network. We did last year. And so as funding shifts occurred, some of the work around engaging young people, one, has been at the school level through bringing young people into the project work that is happening in the competency implementation pilot. And then two, our organization is actually just getting underway, is actually working on building some pathways for youth engagement, specifically looking at some storytelling for advocacy where young people are going to be empowered to share their stories and feel empowered to help share their stories and say what they feel is necessary for change.
Certainly, I'm going to follow up a little bit if I may. On slide 12, do you mind going back to slide 12? Lot of great information on this slide. Starting with addressing absenteeism. I mean, all of us involved in education understand how big of an issue that is. And so I love that it's here and certainly at the top. You said you're going to address it by creating learning environments that students want to be a part of. What does that look like?
Janine Collins for the record. So this past weekend, my team just worked with 70 educators across the state in our Portrait Activators work. And it was the second of 4 sessions that we're working on. And the focus of this work is actually looking at student engagement. And educators are currently right now surveying and interviewing young people in their classrooms and talking just about that. So I think the first thing I would say is anytime you want to solve a problem, one of the things that we really believe and have learned is the best way is to include those who are experiencing the problem in the process. And some of the learning insights that we've heard from our educators are simply things like, wow, there might be a disconnect between what I'm seeing as engagement, what I'm interpreting as engagement or disengagement, and what is actually engagement. And deeper conversations happening between educators and students about their learning is the first step. What we widely are also hearing is hands-on learning, experiences where I'm outside of the classroom only, where I'm able to integrate technology, where I'm solving a problem, where I'm building things with other people, where maybe quite rigorously, I don't know the answer to the question I'm pursuing. That kind of intellectual rigor is in fact really exciting to young people. And so thinking about how to redesign those experiences and also think about where there are constraints and how they can work together to create more of those experiences.
I have one final question, and I'll see if the committee has any others. Same slide. You talk about addressing the teacher workforce. We know how big of an issue that is. I'm wondering if your approach and in the research, as you identify what to address, did teacher workload come up? One of the things that we hear often is how many other things they have to do that are not instruction.
Janine Collins for the record. Yes, workload comes up. Workload comes up, culture, climate, all of the, yes, workload comes up. What I would say is that educators widely involved in this work are saying that the space for reflection and learning together is something that is very hard to find meaningfully during the school day because there's so many things going on. And we all know professional learning communities and learning in community with others is a huge reason why educators will advance their practice. It's hard to do that in 30-minute chunks. It's hard, right? So being able to create the space that feels aligned to their goals, their values, is something that we have been surprised and also excited that people are willing to come to this work and to take the time to do it because they are getting to define, just like when we think about putting young people's strengths and curiosities at the center, this work is inviting educators to put their strengths and curiosities at the center of building what's possible. And that seems to be very fueling.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. Any other questions from the committee? I just really appreciate the work that you're doing and how important it is as we look forward to shaping education, especially K-12 education in our state. So seeing no other questions, we just thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will go on to the hearing for Senate Bill 115. This bill makes various changes relating to bilingual education, and to present the bill is our colleague and committee member, Senator Cruz Crawford. And Dr. Salido Sanchez. And I'm so sorry, I don't know your name, but she'll introduce you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, committee. Today I'm excited to present Senate Bill 115. There is a conceptual amendment. This is a bilingual bill, and it should be in your attachment. Real quick, I'm going to go over for a few minutes briefly what the bill is about, and then we're going to have Dr. Sanchez present the benefits of bilingual education. I have Dr. Casillas also on the line to show what the implementation is, and Mr. Brisky from Nevada Department of Ed. He is going to go over the cleanup and alignment language from over to NRS. So briefly, there is only 4 schools identified in the state of Nevada that this affects right now. And bilingual education is defined as an education where you are taught in 2 languages, content. So you're taught your reading, math, science in 2 languages. At my school, I have been building the framework for CCSD, and I'm in year 3 of implementation. So my students go 1 day in English, and they get their lesson 1 in math, and then the next day they get it in Spanish. And this does a few things. It's great for monolingual students, students that speak 1 language, our English-speaking students, and also our ELL students, because our students, instead of losing content because they don't understand the language, every other day it's in their native language. We currently have 1 bilingual program, undergrad program in the state of Nevada. It just opened at Nevada State University. Right now, we have about 300 students that are about to graduate from this program. And so this is going to expand greatly. There is no fiscal note. This is not an unfunded mandate. The request, I just got it through LCB quickly. The request is to allow a school to use funds they already have to provide a $2,500 stipend. Just like I have a stipend for my support staff and my licensed staff that is voted through the SOT. So this is really an opportunity to pay our teachers for the extra work that they have to do as they translate curriculum. Okay, so we're going to get started to the benefits of bilingual education with Dr. Sanchez.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of the Senate Committee of Education. I'm Dr. Jafet Sanchez, for the record, S-A-N-C-H-E-Z. I'm the director of the Latino Research Center and an associate professor in the College of Education and Human Development. As was mentioned, I'm here to focus on some of the benefits to bilingual education, and I share that half of the population in the world are bilingual or monolingual. So this is not an uncommon asset to our individuals. And I provide this picture of me with my students. When I was a high school math teacher, I had a classroom in algebra where they were the immigrant newcomers of students. And I did this work because of the passion and knowing that those benefits existed, but I did not have a formalized bilingual education program. With that in mind, emergent bilinguals are the fastest growing demographic, and yet they remain underserved. When we think about emergent bilinguals, I position that with the term translanguaging, which is where we see this very fluid nature as to how we interact with our language assets. Oftentimes, for example, we say English language learners, but when we do that, we're actually positioning one language in hierarchy as compared to the others. When we think about translanguaging, we're actually fluidly thinking about all of our multilingual assets. And with that, when we focus on translanguaging, it really enhances this metalinguistic awareness. So that means that we have stronger sense-making, we're able to engage in deeper reading comprehension and writing skills, and it also builds that individual's identity when we think about identity formation and validating their experiences of what their home context entails. Under that lens, enhanced academic achievement is an outcome of bilingual education. We see that our peers who are emergent bilinguals in these types of programs are actually outperforming their peers in English-only settings, and they do so in areas that are core content classrooms like math, English language arts, and it has a long-term trajectory, so we see that they actually have higher rates in graduation, high school graduation rates, and higher education access into those post-secondary education settings. It also enhances their improved cultural competence, so they end up being able to navigate these very complex systems that are tied into cross-cultural experiences, and they do so with a stronger sense of community engagement, which we know has also long-term consequences that are beneficial to everybody. So as they're in these programs, it helps to build their own identity formation. That means that they have a higher sense of self-esteem. They also are able to better enhance or become more proficient in their home language. And of course, we can't undermine the economic benefits that come with this. That's more access to jobs. That's their ability to command higher salaries. And when they actually go into the workforce, they tend to identify areas that are more linguistically diverse, so they're able to contribute and continue that cycle of identifying those bilingual education benefits. Then we have to think about cost effectiveness. When we examine cost effectiveness, these types of programs are actually comparable or even at lower cost than other programs that exist to support emergent bilinguals. So important considerations there when we think about the models in relation to that. Oh, I skipped over. Oh, I had one more. So I'm just going to add, for the record, I'm going to add a couple things that I don't see on there. I wanted to highlight one aspect, which are the monolingual students. This is when we focus on our English-speaking students in particular. They actually are able to carry out the same types of benefits that we see in our emergent bilinguals, and that's that they also have a stronger sense of identity and self-esteem. They also are able to enhance their proficiency in their own home language, which in their case would be English speakers who enhance comprehension skills in reading and writing, and they gain linguistic frameworks. So these frameworks allow them to have cognitive flexibility, which basically means I'm constantly fluidly thinking about my multilingual assets, and that allows me to better communicate, that allows me to better frame the work that I'm doing, it allows me to problem solve more effectively, and in the long run, we see those similar benefits where they actually outperform their English-speaking monolinguals in these types of contexts, all tied into that economic outcome in the future. So they are able to be more globally competitive, and they're able to have a stronger sense of diplomacy in the work that they do later on. So while I was not privy to having a bilingual education program, both as a teacher or as a student, it is definitely something that we see in our research is valid and reliable in terms of those outcomes. And I try to focus on the more recent publications, which emphasize that this isn't something that we documented in 1980. It's something that is very relevant and very real in the work of the benefits of bilingual education. So thank you.
Thank you. And now for part 3 is we have Dr. Casillas on the phone. Or on the Zoom. He is our ELL superintendent for CCSD. He's helping create the framework with me and one other elementary school and Desert Pines High School. And he's going to talk about what that looks like in practice for a couple minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Cruz Crawford, and thank you, Senate Committee of Education, for your time as well this afternoon. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Please state your name for the record, please, and spell your last name if you will.
All right. Thank you so much. I will sure do that. My name is Eric Casillas, last name spelled Casallas. And currently I am the Assistant Superintendent of the English Language Learner Division for the Clark County School District. And I'm here to really just talk about the benefits and how a lot of this work is operationalized here and some of my previous experience as well. So currently we really guide a lot of the work around the guiding principles for dual language education, which was a document developed by the Center of Applied Linguistics about 2017 and 18. And that document has the standards and the look fors that we want to make sure that all schools have, and the programming that needs to happen as well, and ensuring that we also focus on the 3 pillars of dual language education, which is biliteracy, strong academic outcomes, and multicultural competency for our students as well. Prior to me being in this current position, I was the principal of a dual language school in California that was a long-standing program of over 20 years. So it was a very veteran staff and very successful as well. And I will say, as a principal of that school for over 5 years and principal of that school during the pandemic, that school outperformed other schools of similar populations that were not a dual language school. So the benefits of that mean that those students are working harder, right? The teachers are also working harder because, as Senator Cruz Crawford said, they are working double to create lesson plans that are translated, assessments that are translated. It takes extra work. And I didn't quite know that because, like our previous speaker spoke, I didn't have that experience as a student or as a teacher, but I had that experience as a building leader. And I saw the difficult task that my teachers had to do to get the job done and to do it well. It goes beyond the contracted day, and it goes beyond what a teacher really needs to know. They have to use their native English, Spanish skills, if that's the language, or if they learned it right, they have to leverage all those things in order to do that successfully. And we know that really the impact of this and the benefits are talked about earlier is that it promotes an environment where students feel confident, where students feel like they feel a sense of identity and they feel seen in the learning space in which they're in. And the research also says that these programs are not just meant entirely for English learners. The true successful model will have a 33% 1/3% population, so 1/3 EL, 1/3 native English speakers, and 1/3 students who are already bilingual in some capacity, like they grew up speaking both languages. And ideally, we would look to see when students enroll, what languages do they speak, and how can they serve as language models for each other, even in the kindergarten experience, right? And then eventually what happens is there are different program models. And here in CCSD, we implement a 50-50, which means, as Senator Cruz Crawford said, 1 day English, 1 day Spanish, or half day English, half day Spanish. And other programs can be 90-10, where they spend 90% of their day in that primary language, and then 10%, and then eventually it levels off to 50%. So it's a lot of work, but the benefits outweigh the work that goes into it. So I applaud the work that the state is doing in having this conversation. And 4 schools is not enough, because we have neighboring states that have many of these programs in many of their cities and school districts. So I challenge us to have further conversations about how we can increase this as we go forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now I'll have Senator Cruz Crawford. Chair, I'll have now Jeff Brisky from the Nevada Department of Education go over Section 4 of the bill, which is the regulation for bilingual licensing.
Thank you, Jeff Brisky, Jeff-Briske from the Department of Education. Chair Taylor and members of the committee, thank you for having me. Section 4N of this bill will align with NAC 391242 as amended by Temporary Regulation 002-24, requiring that educators hold a bilingual endorsement if they are teaching in a bilingual assignment. The regulation update ensures that educators have a valid teaching license, which was not in the original regulation before amended, and it removes the responsibility from the employer to the department to ensure that competency exams are met before issuing the endorsement. The coursework for the endorsement was not changed, as it is still current and valid, and it will remain the same. So again, just having this in statute will align it to the NAC that's already there. And as far as the temporary regulation, as you know, we can only do temporary regulations now. So as soon as July 1 rolls around, we'll roll it into a permanent regulation. Thank you.
Okay, and then I'll just close up with the ask. Senator Cruz Crawford here. Thank you so much again, committee. I'm going to tell you what Jeff Brisky, what he was talking about, how it translates on the ground. I am running a dual language program, bilingual program. I got a call from HR and saying that my teachers have an endorsement. They need a bachelor's degree. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Most of my teachers have a bachelor's degree in something else and then get credentialing. And then when I talked to Jeff, he's like, oh, that's already in our temporary statute. We just need to align that. So that's what there's miscommunication, right? And misunderstanding of that. So that just cleans up that language. And again, bilingual programs, this is not an unfunded mandate. It's the opportunity for schools, because my goal is that we'll have these opportunities in the rurals for our students and all over Nevada. I have spent the last few years going to New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and Utah, looking at really high quality bilingual programs, and the most high quality programs are funded at the state level. Well, I know we don't have that money right now. So this is a foot in the door for us to use the funds we already have on the ground level to support our teachers to eventually grow this programming so that we have it across the state. So thank you so much for allowing us to testify today on Senate Bill 115.
Well, thank you, Senator, and thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Mr. Brisky, and also on Zoom for the presentation, and thank you for the bill. And so what we'll do, we'll ask questions, and then afterwards we will open it up for testimony. And I see a hand that popped up already. So we'll go our first question, Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Senator Cruz Crawford, and thank you for coming out, Doctor, and NDE. I appreciate it. If the bilingual education teacher is also a special education teacher, will this stipend be an additional amount and not create an either-or situation for the teacher?
Correct. It's a shell basis. So how that would work at my school, if I had a special ed teacher teaching both, they get that at the district level. So it'd just be voted on by my SOT. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Dr. Titus? Senator Titus? Dr. Titus too, but Senator
Thank you.
today.
I much appreciated. So thank you for bringing it forward. I absolutely, I like that children learn multiple languages. I think is important, and the younger you are, the sooner it's easier on the ears to learn multiple languages. I know this is a policy committee. However, you're asking for a $2,500 stipend to be given to the teachers that are in this program. Your amendment then potentially removes a fiscal note. So that means it would never go to the fiscal. So I'm going to ask this fiscal question if that's okay, Chair, because this is maybe the only opportunity.
Certainly, go ahead.
So there's still going to be a cost to the schools. And I was quickly trying to find what it would potentially, how many of these teachers you already have in, say, Clark County, and just doing the math, what would be the potential cost of doing that?
Good question.
Because my point is that you're going to divert that because it's already in your budget, the budget that you were given.
Correct. So right now we have my elementary school that's in year 3 of implementation. So I have 6 teachers because I have 2 per grade level in this program. Lake Elementary has 2 teachers right now. So that's a total of 8 teachers times 2,500. I don't know what year implementation the 2 are from Northern Nevada that are in this program, but we already have similar stipends. I have the opportunity to give a stipend for my support staff at $2,000 and my licensed staff at $1,000, and I have the budget. Is this work being put in right now for bilingual ed? We decide as our school organizational team, and we have the budget for that amount. So yes, it does cost money, but there are already scenarios where we're doing this with a long range goal, being able to request state money when we have it. But right now, getting our foot in the door to follow some of those successful state models.
Thank you for that, because again, it does cost money, and let's be realistic about it, because you're given a stipend, but you would just divert funding that you already have in your budget to this particular program. And then anticipatory, when you budget your programs, like you have 6 teachers down the road, and you'll be ready for that? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, so just like I budget for supplies with my staff, this would be part of that that budgeting item. So just like my teachers asked, like, hey, can I have some extra technology or more books in the library and all that? This would just be another item that we would decide if we had the funds for it. Could make decisions like my 3rd grade is going to be in 1st year of implementation. They might need it, whereas kinder is going to be in the 3rd year, so they already have created materials and making decisions like that.
And I think, a follow-up if I might, because you said if you have the funding for that. So the way I'm reading this bill, though, it's you shall reimburse $2,500 to the teachers that are teaching in this capacity. That's what I'm reading. So what if you don't have the capacity in your budget to do that?
Then they don't get the money.
Okay. All right. You only have it if you have the budgetary discretion. Okay. Thank you. I was confused. Thank you very much.
I'm going to jump in just a moment. Thank you, Senator. Just for clarification, the amendment, which I've read, but we've had a little bit of conversation about this, and your goal around the amendment was not the shall, but the may. Am I correct? And so, yeah, it's a may. So although I know you read the shall, but that's part of a change. Am I correct? Okay, I thought we had that conversation. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair, you have a question?
I don't know that I have a question. Just for clarification to the senator's question, I think, while we're not a budget committee, when we do something like this, it's real easy for us to say, well, right now we'll do this, and later on down the road we'll do that. But whatever the bill says is what happens. And Senator knows that. She's been here. So I would say it does say it has a fiscal note. It may have a fiscal note on local government. It does have a fiscal note on the state. that may be the licensing division. I don't know. I haven't read this as probably and studied it as carefully right now, but I'm glad that you're doing this program, and I think that the program of bilingual education has been used. Isn't there a the name escapes me. I can see it out in Henderson. I thought there was a school out in Henderson. Yes, that was doing this already. So there might be some other schools. So thank you for bringing this, and we'll probably see you in finance. I don't know. So thank you. It's always unfortunate, but I get to see it.
Yeah, no one wants to go see you, Vice Chair. Nothing personal. Senator Buck, please go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Language acquisition is my background, actually. That's what brought me to Southern Nevada. So I do agree with you in the whole theory behind this, and that it does help, especially with our second language students in taking on the dual languages. And Warren Walker had it for a time, and then all of a sudden they did away with the program. I wondered how this impacted negotiated agreements is my first question. Secondly, you see budget cuts or that the schools are impacted. So were you able to use Title I funds or in a way that you're able to have the funds and resources to do this is great. I wondered how that came about.
So I haven't been able to do it yet. I have been told with the conceptual amendment that there will not be a fiscal note, so I'm still waiting to hear from that. But under these guidelines right now, I would be able to use Title I at risk and my EL funds for this, as it would fall under those parameters and general budget as well. I have spoken to both large teachers unions, and they are there's no opposition to this, but I don't know exactly how that impacts negotiated agreement.
Yeah, because what I've seen is that a lot of times it's the same for all, and even though you have an endorsement. And one last question, if I may, Chair? Okay. There used to be funding to get an endorsement in ELL, second language acquisition. I think it was 6 or 12 credits. I know because I used to teach those classes. And I was wondering, is there funding for that somewhere? Or is that on the teachers to get that endorsement?
Go ahead, say it on the mic.
Yeah, Senator Cruz Crawford. Yes, there's a few programs. Dr. Casillas, do you want to share what programs we have right now? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Eric Casillas for the record. So in CCSD, our teachers who want an ELAT endorsement is different from the bilingual endorsement. So I think the question was about the ELAT endorsement, and that is currently available through CSN. And we also with our partners at UNLV as well. And we do have funding set aside to reimburse teachers for that through our Human Resources Division. As far as the bilingual endorsement, we are still looking to see how we're going to fund that because we don't have lines written for that at this time.
Thank you.
I did have a teacher that went through the free Project
I'm
Pueblo.
sorry, name, Senator?
Oh, Senator Cruz Crawford. I did have one teacher that went through the program, but she needed 3 additional classes through Nevada State University. I was able to pay for that with our general budget, her classes. So I was able to supplement with our school budget.
So basically, you're saying that you don't have the autonomy to do this as good practice without this bill,
No,
even though you have the funds.
correct.
So why is that? That's always a frustration of mine. Coming from 18 years in the school district, it's just such a frustration that the leader can't do what's best for their teachers, their students.
There's avenues for extra duty pay.
Name, Senator?
Oh, Senator Cruz
thank
Crawford,
you.
for the record. Thank you, Chair. There are avenues for extra duty pay. They need agendas and timelines, and it takes away from the work flexibility of teachers. So a stipend would be easier both on paperwork, office staff, and the teachers.
And just a really quick comment. So if you were in a charter school, you could absolutely just do this if you had the extra funds. But for some reason in the district bureaucracies, a lot of times you can't do that. So just a quick comment that we need to make it a little bit easier to be able to do what's best for students and inevitably teachers to help facilitate and grow these wonderful teachers with endorsements and with best practices. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I do have a couple of questions, Senator, but I want to follow up. I thought you said you were already doing this at your school?
Senator Cruz Crawford, for the record, we have bilingual or dual language at my school in year 3 of implementation, but we don't have a funding source at the school level to provide reimbursement. I have been, Dr. Casillas has been using through, I believe, Title III funds, reimbursement for professional development, but they don't get reimbursement for the work that they do to translate the curriculum as needed.
I just want to make sure. Thank you very much. So you need permission to be able to use your funds in this manner, and that's what you're hoping for with statute. Yes.
Correct. To provide a stipend, yes, there are avenues for extra duty pay.
Understandable. Thank you. I just wanted that clarification. Just a couple of may just be one question. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but in Clark County School District, schools are funded differently than in the rest of the state because of the decentralization, and so principals have a lot more flexibility with their budget. Right, in terms of if you have a funding source, you can just do it. But if you're in a school that's outside of the Clark County School District, really your funding comes from the district. So a principal doesn't have that, unless they can pull it from Title I funds. Then that would allow them to do that. But generally, a teacher wouldn't have that flexibility. So in that situation, how would those teachers, those schools, right, be able to do this? Is that something a district would have to decide, or? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I only know about CCSD. I know for our current stipends, there's a drop down. It's basically like a budget line item that we can collect stipend and attach the teachers' names that would get that stipend. I don't know how that looks like outside of CCSD.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Okay, I have committee members who are asking for other superintendents who are in the room to come forward. So to answer.
There happens
I'm
to
so
be a
sorry.
Carson.
It's too late to hide.
There
It is too
happens
late.
to be a Carson City superintendent
There-
sitting
there-
in the room, and perhaps he can answer this
Sorry,
question.
Superintendent Feely, we just put you on the agenda.
You thought you were hiding, didn't you?
Thank you so much. That's what you get for showing up. See.
I know. Thank you, AJ Feeling for the record, superintendent from the CCSD, Carson City School District. So yeah, every other district does it differently, and even each district may have some of their own quirks in how they do it. But I think the idea of from the district level, they would certainly be taking this into consideration if they had a school that did something like this. Principals generally do have some of their own budget. Usually, it's more for supplies than staffing type things. But I think every district could work with this and try to figure out a system. I just think each one would do it a little bit differently than the other. I don't know if that is entirely helpful, but
No, it is very much. Thank you so much. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, Senator, we will open it up for testimony in support, opposition, and neutral, and then we'll give you a chance to come back and have some closing comments, okay? Okay, so don't go too far. All right, while we're still in this hearing, we're going to open it up now for anyone who would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 115. Please come forward. You can fill the chairs. I don't know. I can't see if I don't think there's anyone in Las Vegas, but if you're hiding back there, someone, please come forward and fill those chairs as well. We will start, I guess, in the order that you arrive. Please go ahead. State your name for the record. You know the routine.
Good afternoon, Alexander Marks, M-A-R-K-S. I was going to do a quick ditto, but I'm the first one, so can't say that. We're in support of Senate Bill 115 to authorize $2,500 stipends for teachers in bilingual education programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marks.
Thank you, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, for allowing my statement of support. My name is Wesley Harper. I am the Director of Government Affairs for the City of North Las Vegas. The city is in support of SB 115, and we appreciate the work of Senators Cruz Crawford and Danyate, and the joint sponsor, Assemblymember Moore, to bring this bill forward. Creating confident and competent students creates confident and competent Nevadans, which is why the city stands in support. Thank you for allowing our support testimony.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Mr. Harper. Please go right ahead.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of this esteemed committee. My name is Catherine Nielsen, Nielsen. My testimony is as the Executive Director for the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. We do offer our support for this bill because it would both increase the quality and quantity of teachers in bilingual education programs, particularly those that speak English and teach American Sign Language. This is especially important for the deaf and hard of hearing community. Obviously, the Nevada Commission for Persons who are Deaf and Hard of Hearing has a position statement on education for individuals that are in these communities. One of their key policy recommendations is to increase funding for the deaf and hard of hearing educational services, and this includes advocating for additional state and federal funding, and we're particularly talking about those in bi classrooms, which are bilingual, bicultural classrooms. And this measure, we do feel, will increase those teachers. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nielsen. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Taylor, members of the Senate Education Committee. My name is Leonardo Benavides here on behalf of UNLV. In particular, the UNLV College of Education supports Senate Bill 115, which provides a permissive structure for schools and districts to support licensed educators in bilingual education programs and strengthens endorsement requirements for bilingual instruction. Nevada's growing multilingual population includes over 80K emergent bilingual students, nearly 20% of our public school enrollment, making it imperative to recruit, retain, and support qualified bilingual educators. Research consistently shows that students in well-implemented bilingual programs achieve stronger academic outcomes. Yet Nevada faces a shortage of teachers prepared to meet those needs. At UNLV, the College of Education is committed to addressing this gap through initiatives like Project Pueblo, which has prepared a myriad of teachers with specialized training to support emergent bilingual students. Our programs work to equip educators with the skills necessary to promote academic success of bi- and multilingual students, ensuring Nevada's workforce remains competitive in an increasingly global economy. SB 115 makes an important and intentional step towards recognizing the expertise required for bilingual instruction and creating the permissive structure for schools to support incentives when available funding exists that attracts and retains these highly skilled educators. By investing in bilingual education, Nevada strengthens its commitment to equity, economic opportunity, and the long-term success of our students and communities. We appreciate Senator Cruz Crawford for bringing forward this important legislation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Anderson. I'm a teacher in Washoe County. I currently teach beginning English learners in the high school setting. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I've been teaching for 12 years, 7 of those in Washoe County. I have multiple subject teaching credentials in California and Nevada, a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in teaching English learners, and I'm a nationally board certified teacher, including a proud member of the Washoe Education Association. How many countries around the world are light years ahead of us by teaching our teaching their students in multiple languages starting day one in school? In order to catch up, we need highly qualified teachers to do this, and they need to be compensated and properly trained. The benefits of this bill are immense. As educators, our job is to prepare students for the world, and increasing bilingual education not only helps teachers and students do this, but it also benefits our communities and our economy. As was said earlier, bilingualism improves cognitive skills. Studies show that students who speak more than one language tend to have better problem-solving skills, enhanced memory, and greater multitasking skills. These cognitive advantages are crucial as students prepare for an increasingly complex and globalized world. Fun fact, people that speak more than one language have lower rates of dementia as well. Bilingual education opens doors to a wider range of career opportunities. By providing students with the opportunity to learn multiple languages, we are preparing them for a future success in a competitive job market. It also promotes cultural awareness, sensitivity, fosters empathy and respect in our communities and in our diverse state. This cultural competence is essential for building stronger, more cohesive neighborhoods. I personally wish I had the opportunity of a bilingual education when I was in school. I urge you to continue to support and expand these programs across Nevada, ensuring that all students have the opportunity to become successful, globally minded individuals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. You clearly timed that because you were right at 2 minutes. All right. Please go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of the Senate Committee of Education. My name is Emma Silveira, that's Silveyra for the record. I am here representing the University of Nevada, Reno. We want to thank the sponsors of this bill and express our full support for SB 115. I am here today because I am a product of education through the ESL program. My family moved to Fernley from Mexico, and I grew up in the ESL program, so I know how difficult it is for students to not only adapt to a new language, but to a new culture as well. My teachers helped me get to where I am today, and I am extremely grateful for them. I believe that bilingual education is incredibly important, and this bill would help incentivize teachers to provide students with the help and support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Maria Renee Castedo, Castedo, and I am a proud public school teacher and a member of the Washoe Education Association and the parent of 2 students in Washoe County. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Education with an emphasis in English language learners and a Master's of Science in STEM. With 9 years of teaching experience, I have taught kindergarten through 4th grade in both Nevada and in Idaho. Currently, I teach 3rd grade in Washoe County. I stand in strong support of this bill. Home means Nevada, but it also means tourism and diversity. Nevada is a major tourism hub, whether it's the casinos and gaming or our stunning natural destinations and diverse events. Our state relies heavily on tourism. In today's world, being bilingual is not just a benefit, it's a necessity in Nevada. Nevada is linguistically diverse, and with approximately 25% of our residents speaking languages other than English. Side note that Nevada has one of the fastest growing populations of Latinos, and that 25% is expected to grow. In addition, we welcome visitors from all over the globe, enriching our state with a variety of beautiful languages. This bill is crucial because it mandates that school districts implement policies that not only support our students' learning, but also help prepare them for their futures. It ensures that our students can compete on a global scale in countries where learning 2 or more languages is the norm. Furthermore, this bill provides the opportunity to hire qualified teachers who are trained with the skills and knowledge needed to deliver high-quality bilingual education. I would also like to conclude with a few personal thoughts. As a parent, I deeply desire for my children to have the opportunity to learn Spanish. However, the 2 schools here in Washoe County, Jessie Beck and Mountain Rose, in our area are not only distant, but also difficult to access. Personally, I am bilingual as Spanish is my mother tongue, and I can attest to the countless doors being bilingual has opened for me, from scholarships to enhanced job security. Let's do the right by our students by providing them with the opportunity to improve their lives and compete on a global scale. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Castedo. Is there anyone else in Carson City? Please come forward at this time if you do, if you would like to. Okay, please go ahead. State your name for the record. You have 2 minutes. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Madison Jackson, Jackson. I am both an educator and a member of the WEA. I'm here today to speak in strong support of Senate Bill 115. As an advocate of high-quality education in Nevada, I believe this bill is a necessary step toward ensuring that our bilingual students receive the support they need, while also recognizing the critical role of bilingual educators in our schools. Now, I unfortunately don't even count myself as a bilingual educator. Mi español es bastante malo. But I do work in a diverse school, where most of the students come from homes where they speak a language other than English in their homes. And our schools are becoming increasingly diverse in this manner. Many of our students are bilingual. And research has shown, again, that the cognitive abilities, the memory, the way it reduces Alzheimer's, there's so many benefits to bilingual education. So what I have to gain here by testifying today is not even the wonderful stipend that our bilingual educators deserve, but the supports that our bilingual students also deserve. So SB 115 directly addresses these challenges by providing an annual stipend to educators. This incentive will help attract and retain talented and qualified educators. Additionally, requiring school districts to develop policies that strengthen bilingual education ensures that these programs are not just an afterthought, but a strategic policy and a strategic priority in our education system. By investing in our bilingual students and the educators who support them, we are making a commitment to equity, opportunity, and a stronger workforce for Nevada's future. So I urge the committee to pass SB 115 and take this important step toward a more inclusive and effective educational system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And actually, thank you to all of the educators who are here and who came forward. We appreciate what you do for kids every day. We do. Okay, no more public comment, no more testimony here in support in Las Vegas. We don't see anyone, so we will go to the phone lines. BPS, is there anyone who's called in who would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 115?
To testify in support of Senate Bill 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of Committee on Education. My name is Henry Rosas with United Way of Southern Nevada. Also providing our strong support for SB 115. It'll go a long way in expanding and retaining bilingual educators, and want to especially thank Senator Cruz Crawford for her partnership and commitment to language access for all students, especially during the interim. So thank you so much for allowing us to testify in support today.
Caller, before you go, would you mind please saying your name more slowly so we can capture it? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Okay. BPS, is there anyone else on the phone line? Thank you, Senator. That was Henry Rosas.
If you have just joined and
please go ahead, BPS.
If you have just joined and would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will open it up for anyone who would like to testify in opposition. Anyone in Carson City in opposition to Senate Bill 115, please come forward. Okay, seeing none here and seeing no one in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone lines. Let's see if there's anyone online, BPS, who would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 115.
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you so much. And now we will open it up for anyone who would like to testify neutral. Anyone neutral on Senate Bill 115? Here in Carson City, seeing none. In Las Vegas, there's no one there. So we will go to the phone lines. One more time, BPS. Anyone testifying in neutral to Senate Bill 115?
To testify in neutral to Senate Bill 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. Senator Cruz Crawford, we'll ask you to come back for closing comments, but before you give your close, Senator Titus has a question she'd like to ask you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator, for taking an additional question. The testimony I've heard, and certainly, again, I'm a supporter of a bilingual education. I think it's very important. But what I'm hearing is, assuming it's Spanish, but there are many other languages that we see in our state, and because we have people from all over the world here, would so I don't know if in Clark County you have other teachers teaching French or whatever the language is, and so this would be for all of those teachers, correct? Regardless of what the language is they teach.
Senator Cruz Crawford, for the record, Chair. Senator Titus, are you teeing up my closing comments here?
Perhaps, because I have an additional question once you answer that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for anyone. My dream is to just really plant a seed so that our students are able to be able to select between many languages. We had ASL ask if that's a possibility, and really all languages that are accessible. We first need our teachers to be able to be proficient in teaching those, and that's through the bilingual endorsement.
Thank you for that, because we did get a follow-up to a previous question regarding the Native American which schools, and we got an excellent update from our staff on all the schools that offer that and getting folks to come in and teach Native languages. So I wanted to make sure that this wasn't limited to one group, but offer to expand, because I do think it expands everyone's ideas and thoughts and communication skills, certainly, by being able to speak in several languages. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Senator Cruz Crawford, please, any closing comments?
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everybody that provided public comment today. I look forward to planting a seed with Senate Bill 115 so that our community can be very diverse in their skill set. We did talk a lot about Spanish speakers, but what I did want to talk about is those English speakers. When you have a dual language program, you have both languages going through the process together. So one day their strength is in their English class if they're an English speaker, and their one they're learning is Spanish. But guess what? Those Spanish speaking students or native speaking students or ASL students can do programs together, and every other day they get their strength and their anchor, and they learn from their peers the other day. It's such beautiful programming, and I've been excited to be engaged in the work and lucky enough to be a senator to bring this work across the state of Nevada. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Senator, for bringing this bill. As you return to your place, we do have another bill draft that we will introduce that came in during the meeting, so we'll go ahead and do this another BDR. And again, as a reminder to the committee, a vote to accept the bill, the BDR, so that we can get the bill number, does not mean that you actually support the BDR. This BDR, this is especially for you, Senator Titus, establishes requirements relating to suspected substance use by a pupil. And so we will, so with committee, we gave you the BDR number, and I gave you the summary, so now we're entertaining the motion to accept that, to introduce this bill.
So moved.
I'll take that as a move in a second. A motion we'll give it to Senator Titus, and the second by the Vice Chair. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, the motion is carried. We have introduced another BDR. Thank you so much for that. Now we're down to the final item on our agenda. It is public comment. We will start here in Carson City, go to Vegas, and then on the phone lines. If you'd like to make public comment, please come forward at this time. You can fill the chairs. As a reminder, we want you to state and say your name. For the record, spell your last name if you would, and then you will have 2 minutes. Thank you so much. We'll start in the order that you arrived. Please go ahead.
John Eppolito, ProtectNevadaChildren.org. How may all this student data in the hands of EdTech vendors affect the future of Nevada students? At least 10 Harvard students had their admissions rescinded because of something they posted on Facebook. Here's the NPR story. In my opinion, asking elementary school students to use free EdTech vendors is much worse, because students end up sharing their ideas, attitudes, and belief with these vendors. If these bright 18-year-old Harvard admittees don't know what's acceptable to share on Facebook, how should elementary school students in Nevada know what they should be sharing with these EdTech vendors? Parents never see what their children share with the Googles of the world, and they don't see the student profiles these free vendors create on their children. We don't know when and how something our children shared with Google or other EdTech vendors may come back to haunt them. The first handout I gave you this session had articles from the left and right discussing this. In the U.S., we just saw the political winds shift, and they will likely shift back. What may have been a positive idea, attitude, or belief yesterday and tomorrow may be a negative one today. Like some of the dot-com billionaires, we believe the solution is to get kids off the screens and back to a traditional education. Both Steve Jobs and Bill Gates raised their kids tech-free, and so did many other tech billionaires and millionaires. These screens and apps are for our kids. They're not for their kids.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eppolito. Please go ahead, state your name for the record.
Hi there, my name is Drew Franklin, D-R-E-W-F-R-A-N-K-L-I-N. I'm with the Washoe Education Association. Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, thank you so much, all committee members. I'll keep it short. I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work that went into the session last year and all the bills that did get signed into law. It did make a difference with all of our students. I look forward to working with all of you this year to help our students more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. Please go ahead, state your name for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Schuler, S-H-U-L-E-R. I'm also with WEA, the Washoe Education Association. I'm a math teacher over at Hug High School in Sparks in Washoe County. I've already spoken in front of the committee today, so I'm not going to rehash everything I said there, but I wanted to also express my gratitude for the increase in allocation of funding to our district and to the state. I want to encourage, further efforts towards that goal. I know that, for instance, one of the biggest issues we're facing at my school is no longer, lack of supplies and such, but teacher retention. And I think that a lot of teachers who would love to enter the profession are making a cost-benefit analysis calculation when they look at becoming a teacher, and for a lot of them, it's not financially feasible. I'm fortunate to have found financial stability in teaching, but I want to open this door to many other people, especially people who reflect the student population that we serve at Hug High School. So again, thank you so much for your efforts in the past to further the cause of education, and I hope that you can consider, furthering those efforts in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Go Hawks. Please go ahead, state your name for the record.
My name is Justin Jervinis. My last name is spelled Jervinis. I am a member of the Washoe Education Association. I teach at Washoe County School District at Marcy Harrods Middle School. Go Falcons. I'm very blessed to have a wonderful job being a self-contained teacher. Comprehensive life skills are called CLS. These are students that have severe disability, significant deficits in academics, communication, and behavior, where occasionally I get attacked and I get my tie pulled or someone's trying to beat me up. But either way, it's a great job because someone's got to do this job. Someone's got to work with these kids. And really for me, my wife and I are both full-time working parents. I have a 6 and a 3-year-old. And we have a house. We purchased it in 2019. We were very blessed to have an interest rate below 4%. We have a very small house. We have 2 growing children. And we're thinking about getting a house somewhere in South Reno. But all the houses we're looking at are north of $800,000, sometimes $900,000, and not that much better than my house. We're both making good money. We're very proud of what we do. We are advancing our careers because we've had a lot of help from my in-laws who have so graciously taken care of my children. But yet we can't find the house that we want because interest rates are 7% or above. So we made a lot of progress last session, thanks to all of you investing in education. We all got 20% raises. I got a $2,500 bonus in June, and I'm going to get another $2,500 bonus in June. Thankfully, I can pay for my daughter's daycare, but I'm trying to find a way to pay for my mortgage, get another house, save for 2 529s, and a Roth IRA on top of it. So I'm trying to be financially responsible, but any investment that we do in education this session would be very beneficial for me, my colleagues, and all teachers in Nevada. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jervinis. Please go ahead, state your name for the record.
My name is Marvin Bell, B-E-L-L, and I wanted to thank the Nevada Legislature for all you did for teachers this last session. Because of you guys, I was finally able to get a car, which is really nice because I don't have to Uber to work anymore. And while you guys have done a lot for us. There is still a lot more work to be done, and I look forward to working with all of you this session to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Congratulations on the car. Any other public comment here in Carson City? Seeing no one and seeing no one in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone lines. BPS, do we have a caller?
If you would like to make public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
I'll give that number one more time, 888-475-4499. The meeting ID is 856-7414-5362.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer McNeil. Jennifer is spelled Jennifer. McNeil is spelled one word, M-A-C, capital N-E-A-L. I just wanted to thank all of you for your due diligence in regards to everything that was spoken on for today, especially if you haven't gotten to it regarding to children with autism spectrum and the essential services in regards to that. As a parent of two children that go to a charter school in Henderson, two children that both have autism, this is very much important as well as necessary for these children to get the services that they need. Because you just see that the wait times and things like that outside in the private sector, how much of out-of-pocket expenses it is, and then being a single parent going to multiple therapies, it's very much needed while you're in waiting to have these services be done while they're in school, while you're on these extensive 2-year, 3-year wait lists. So it's very imperative that these children get the services that they need. I just really want to thank you all for doing your due diligence and bringing this and shedding some light onto this bill. And God bless you, Godspeed, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McNeil. Do we have another caller, BPS?
Chair, there are no more callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Okay, we've had our bill hearing, we've closed that out, and we've had our public comment, so we are dismissed. Our next meeting will be on Monday at 1 p.m. right here. Thank you so much, and thank you all for coming out.